let's move on to this, shall we? Sticking on the topic of Star Wars, which I don't think we can expect another movie for another 30 years. There was another movie they said they announced, right? Remember they were going to do the Rey movie? And when was it supposed to get a Christmas of 2026 release or a Christmas of 2025 release?
Something like that.
Anyway, then they had to pull the thing. Well, they lost their writers as well. The writers are now gone. And then some people started to wonder if the whole Rey project was dead. Oh, it probably is, but not yet. Because according to the Hollywood Reporter, the Rey movie, now known as, I believe, the New Jedi Order, the New Order or something along those lines, now has a brand new writer, and actually not a bad one, in George Nolfi. The Hollywood Reporter writes this. George Nolfi, known for his screenplay work on movies such as The Bourne Ultimatum and Ocean's 12, has been tapped to write the New Jedi Order, the Daisy Ridley-centric Star Wars movie. The hiring signals continued faith in the project, which was announced to great fanfare almost 2 years ago. We're dealing with another Blade here almost. At Star Wars Celebration in London. But has been several high-profile writers fall into the trash compactor. Now, with George Nolfi, listen, I like this name, and here's why. He wrote The Banker with Anthony Mackie and Nicholas Hoult and Samuel Jackson. This was a good little movie. It was a straight-to-streaming movie, but it was actually a good little movie. He did that little sci-fi thing, Spectral, which was all right. I never saw Allegiance, so I have no idea. He wrote The Adjustment Bureau.
I do too. I think he directed it too, didn't he?
He did. I'm not sure. That's a good question.
I really like these.
He did a good job writing that. Yeah. He did Bourne Ultimatum, which I really like that. Ocean's 12, which is probably the weakest of the Ocean's movies, but I still liked it. So they've gotten a pretty good writer on board. Now, it doesn't solve the problem that none of these movies ever get made. Like they pointed out in the article, they announced this movie 2 years ago. They've already pulled one release date. They can't, again, Kathleen Kennedy doing Kathleen Kennedy things, announcing projects and setting things in motion when she doesn't even know if she's on the same page as the filmmakers and they're telling the story she wants them to tell or not. And so they make announcements and then everything gets pulled. So this isn't even going to happen. So this announcement is kind of pointless. But, Chris, in a fantasy world, where this movie actually gets made,
suspend my disbelief.
I would actually say that bringing on somebody like a Nolfi here increases my interest a little bit. I think it's a good pick, but I don't know. What do you make of this whole thing? Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Kikoff. January always feels like recovery mode, doesn't it? I mean, after all the holiday fun and let's be honest, all the holiday spending, it can feel like a credit hangover. But don't worry, I've got the perfect solution to help you bounce back in 2025. Kikoff, the #1 credit building app in the App Store. Kikoff is a total game changer if you're looking to start building or improving your credit. Their plans, they start at just $5 a month. No credit check, no hidden fees, and no interest. Everybody's been there, guys. Trying to navigate credit can feel like a maze, but Kikoff makes it easy. You can sign up in minutes on your phone and be instantly set up with a credit line designed specifically for building credit, not for spending. And here's a fun fact. If your credit's under 600, you could jump around 28 points in your first month. It's that simple. Shake off the credit hangover and look forward to brighter credit with Kikoff. Get your first month for just $1 at getkickoff.com/Campea today. That's getkickoff, KIKOFF.com/Campea. Must sign up via kickoff.com/Campea to activate offer. Offer applies to new customers first month only. Subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions may apply. Points out based on Equifax VantageScore 3.0 changes for Kickoff users starting under 600 who made their first on-time payment between January 2021 and March 2024. Payment and credit activity outside of Kickoff can have an impact on your credit. Individual results may vary.
Well, first of all, Rob, you're right. He did direct the Adjustment Bureau as well as write it. I like this. There's going to be so much window jumping for Rey. That's what I think of every time I think about the Bourne movies, just jumping through windows. I love that for her. I think it's a good pick. And again, it's one of those things of if it happens, this should be a good match. But I just also don't believe it's going to happen. So neat if it does.
And throw another wrench into this, Rob. They have a director on board, but now they've thrown out the script. They're bringing in a completely new writer. Who's to say, and I was fine with the director they had, but who's to say that the director is even the right fit for whatever story they come up with now? So I'm foreseeing in the next 3 months an announcement saying New Jedi Order gets new director, something like that. Anyway, what do you think about in general, the pick of Nolfi to be the new screenwriter? And then beyond that, does this movie actually get made?
Well, I think that, look, I like the Adjustment Bureau. It's an interesting science fiction fantasy concept. I like the movie a lot. I think what he's done as a writer is pretty good. My whole question has been the same from the very beginning. I don't think you make a Rey movie work because there wasn't enough established in her journey to become a Jedi within the 3 sequel films that make you believe that she could found a new Jedi Order.
She's a Skywalker now.
Well, that's
So
the thing.
that fixes it.
It's a little, all of that's a little.
She changed her birth
Palpatine,
certificate.
I don't even know. Like her lineage, was she genetically created by Snoke to be a Palpatine?
Jedi nepotism.
Yeah, it's
So hard.
and it's you. Unfortunately, I hate to say it. I like Daisy Ridley as an actress, and I think lately she's been doing some really interesting stuff. I mean, her movies haven't gotten a lot of attention, but she's a good actress.
I agree. 100%
And
I agree.
I think that, like with so many of our fantasy IPs, the real problem is the storytelling. And I think Nolte could probably come up with a great script, but there's a reason why writers have come and gone on this project. I think the premise is flawed.
But we don't know the premise, do we?
Well, if it's a new Jedi Order and she's the one founding it, I think that makes it. How do you write that story? What's
Well-
her? Because you have to put her on a journey of some kind. But she was Superwoman. She was immediately able to fly the Millennium Falcon. She was a Superwoman from the beginning of Force Awakens. She didn't have a journey of her own. So
I see. There's a couple of things they're going to do. Number one, they're saying this one will start 15 years after the events of the last movie, which is probably when it's actually going to come out anyway. So it's going to take place like 15 years
Time
after.
accurate.
So a lot can happen in there. I've always rejected the notion that they made like Rey a superwoman, like right off the bat. Like she was somebody from birth who had to fight to survive. And remember, everybody forgets this. In her first encounter with Kylo Ren, she got her ass whooped. Like couldn't even put up a fight.
She
right?
did.
Like boom. And let's not forget, Luke, who'd never even heard of the Force before in the first thing, all of a sudden is firing, these torpedoes down a thing not much bigger than a Womp Rat back home, right? Down the thing and all that kind of stuff. And then suddenly he spends a long weekend with Yoda and he's having a lightsaber fight with Darth Vader.
My weekend at Yoda's.
There's that too. So there's something to be said about giving more credit to the Force being able to do what it wants to do. Now, the problem with Rey is the problem with the entire series. They never had a plan for her. I'm okay that we didn't see this long journey of hers. I'm okay because, you're going to say there's this 15-year long thing. She got away with the tomes, right? She got away with the Jedi books and texts. 15 years passed. All that kind of, it's no less believable than Luke trying to establish a new Jedi Order, I suppose. But the thing is, the entire saga had no path. Like all of a sudden out of nowhere, which we now know for a fact was never J.J. Abrams' intention at first, all of a sudden she's Palpatine's granddaughter, and all of a sudden this happens, and then all of a sudden this happens, and it's like,
John, the scroll said somehow.
somehow.
They did a really good job explaining that.
That's how the opening crawl should start. Somehow Rey has established a new
the
Jedi
dead
Order.
speak, John.
Yeah.
The dead speak
The dead speak.
on the radio.
Oh my God, that's right. Hey, everybody, I'm back. It's so bad. Anyway, guys, question is for you.
Better than Section 31.
I've not forced myself to watch that.
Don't.
Whatever you guys think about this, look, what do you think? Put everything else aside. What do you think about the selection of the screenwriter? I actually think it's an interesting choice. But will it make any difference? I don't believe anything will make a difference. I don't know. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.